The flood. It had been raining for days, and everyone was feeling miserable. As Thomas puffed along his branch line one morning, he could see the river running by the side of the line was swollen with rainwater. The river was running very fast, and muddy water was lapping against the banks.
"Oh dear," said Thomas's driver when he saw the river. "If the rain doesn't stop soon, we're going to have big trouble. The river could burst its banks and flood the fields and the station."
Thomas hurried back to the big station as fast as he could, and his driver told the Fat Controller about the river.
"Don't panic," he told them. "If we all work hard, we can stop the flood and save the branch line."
He called all the engines and their drivers together to the big station, and ordered them to go to the harbour with empty trucks ready for loading. There, all the men jumped off and were soon busy with shovels filling sacks and old mail bags with sand. The drivers and firemen dragged the heavy sacks of sand back to the waiting trucks and loaded them on board. And as soon as their trains were ready, the engines set off one by one as fast as they could to Thomas's branch line. At the station, the men jumped off and dragged the sacks of sand to the riverbank. They piled them up, higher and higher, to keep the water in the river and stop it spilling over the banks. It was a long, hard day, but the engines were glad to help. They wanted to make sure the animals were safe in their fields. The Fat Controller and the workmen worked hard too, and by the end of the day, just as it was starting to get dark, they finished.
"Well done, everyone,"
the Fat Controller told them.
"Thanks to your hard work, Thomas's branch line is safe. The sandbags are holding the water back."
The engines and the workmen cheered, but they all hoped the rain would stop soon. The engines were still worried when they went to sleep that night in the sheds. They could still hear the rain battering down on the shed roof. "I hope the sandbags keep the river from overflowing," thought Thomas quietly. He went to sleep, still anxious about what he would find in the morning. But when Thomas and the other engines woke the next day, they found that the rain had stopped and the sun was shining. Thomas was pleased. "The river won't burst its banks after all," he puffed cheerfully. "My branch line is safe." The engines were pleased for Thomas.
"I hope we're not as busy as we were yesterday," said Henry.
"Carrying all that sand to the river was hard work." "I don't think there's much chance of a rest today, Henry," chuckled Edward. "Now we'll have to take all the sand back to the beach instead."
"Oh, no,"
groaned Henry. But Thomas didn't mind. Thanks to his friends and all their hard work, his branch line was safe.